Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to go over everything I learned after running a saddle for 1 year and my setup so I can show you guys what I'm running and everything I've learned for 1 year after running a saddle. Let's get into it. All right, so the saddle that I'm running is the Grit line from Tethered. This was super comfortable to sit in. It has the pockets, has a small pocket here and then a big pocket on the side as well, and that's on both sides. So you get 4 different pockets, which is super nice if you want to keep like a rangefinder, binos, your release, whatever you want to keep in these pockets. Super nice. And then you have the hooks on the back to hook on like your saddle or whatever from to the back when you're climbing up. And then this was a super comfortable saddle. I have never, this is the first saddle I've ever bought. So the other ones I don't know if they are or not, but if this was comfortable, this is nice. And I'm pretty sure the Grit is their budget saddle. I could totally be wrong about that, but I think that is. So if anyone that's trying to get into saddle hunting, this is kind of like beginner friendly and whatnot. So not saying saddle hunting is hard, but this was a good saddle to use. Now let's get into what sticks I use. The sticks I use the Nesta sticks. I run 3 sticks. I have 2 here. I have 1 still in a tree right now from last fall. But these Nesta sticks are super nice. Like, I am not kidding you. These were so nice. And the way that they just fit on top of this pack, super mint for carrying them. And then you have a deep pocket here. I have my trail cameras in here right now because I'm eventually going to go out and put these out here in a little bit. And then you have like a top pocket here. This top pocket was super mint to have. I would keep this to the side of me, of my weak side, and I would keep this pocket open. So if I had like in the rut, I had like my grunt tubes in here, stuff like that, and was able to just grab stuff out of this pocket while it's not like this, basically. So the Nesta sticks, the Nesta bag, that's what I'm running right now. And super nice. My platform, I clearly don't have it with me right now, but this past fall, I ran the Lone Wolf 0.5 stand. That's what I used as a platform. It was super nice, but I'd like to upgrade. I'm still kind of in the market of looking at what I want to upgrade to. I know that Hunt Arsenal makes a really good platform, and then so does, I like the Lone Wolf platforms. I just like the way that those dig into the tree. So I'm still in the market of getting a new platform. I did like the Lone Wolf because if I wanted to sit, I could just sit down. I know they make a hybrid in the Lone Wolf, but I use that. It wasn't the greatest because of the way it fit onto the Nesta pack. It was kind of uncomfortable a little bit, so if I was gonna hike in a long ways, it was pretty uncomfortable. So that's what I ran last year. It worked out great. We were able to get a deer on the ground. We were able to tag out, so it worked when it needed to, but I won't be running it next year. I will be looking to get just a platform. I don't know what to get right now. Like I said, looking at Lone Wolf, looking at Hunt Arsenal, and then maybe a Tethered. I'm not sure at this moment. If you have any recommendations, just leave them down below and I will look into them, but that's kind of what we are running for a platform. What I learned from running a saddle for 1 year is you gotta practice. Like, take your time and practice, especially if you're gonna get a saddle over the summer. Just practice putting the sticks on while being locked in and just getting up the tree. I basically bought this thing and went out and just hunted. Like, it wasn't ideal. There definitely was a learning curve with it. I remember, which I'll get into the next, is just understanding where your shooting lanes are, which that will be tip number 2. But just making sure that you get yourself comfortable climbing up a tree in a saddle. And that's kind of the number 1 thing I would say is just practice. And that would be number 1, honestly. All right, the second thing I would say about what I learned from a saddle is understanding your shooting lanes, like I kind of mentioned, and I didn't want to get into it too much, but understanding your shooting lanes and how to shoot from a saddle, that is so important because you're leaning back and you're shooting. Like, it's not a typical way where you can just stand up on a deer stand and shoot. And so understanding where your shooting lanes are, how to set your saddle up to be more successful. So let's get into that one first. So let's say this pole here is my saddle and then everything out here is my lane. I'm gonna put my sticks on the back side, climb up, and then I'm gonna hang this way so that my shooting lanes are everything in front of me. I typically don't set up to where I can, like, I know some people can like go up over and shoot behind. That is such a good thing to learn as well. But I try to keep everything here but the range that you can shoot out of a saddle is pretty good. But I keep everything here, so if I hunt like a field edge or like on a ridge, so the 2 deer that I ended up getting last year, those were the scenarios. I got off a field edge. I knew the trail coming in to the field. I set up kind of 20 yards off that main trail, and boom, was able to capitalize on that deer coming into the field, checking for does. And then the second deer I was able to get, like I said, kind of on top of a ridge, waited for this deer to hit the ridge, checking for does off of a scrape. He came in, and then as soon as he got into that window, which I had a good window, I knew he was going to come into, boom, we were able to get him. So being able to set your saddle up to your shooting lanes is super important. So knowing how to set your saddle up. That first deer I was telling you about, like I said, it was kind of more of like a run and gun. I bought it, I went out, we did our thing. When I was able to get up onto this tree, I had everything set up, and I was like, oh wait, everything is backwards because my shooting lane's here, but the trail is over here. I had to take everything down and then put it all back up again. It takes 5 minutes to put up a saddle, honestly. When you get into the rhythm of doing it, it is super quick and it's super efficient. So that's the nice thing about the saddle. But was able to get up, sit, didn't hurt anything. Deer came in about 2 hours later, boom, capitalized, got it done. So that's number 2, is understanding how to practice shooting from a saddle is super important, and how to set up your saddle to be more successful. So understanding where your lanes are and stuff like that. That's kind of my opinion. Shooting from a saddle is super important as well, because it is different. A lot of us just sit here and we shoot our bow from the ground, because that's how you would sit in like a ladder or a hang-on stand. You would just stand up, but you're kind of leaning back a little bit. So definitely practice how to shoot from a saddle, because we don't typically practice like that. So I definitely would recommend, if you're first getting into saddle hunting, maybe go up 1 or 2 sticks, take a couple shots, get comfortable, and then go all the way up, and then be more comfortable, because the most important thing for this fall is to put lethal shots on those deer or any animal that you're hunting, is to be as lethal as possible with a quick, clean kill. That's what we want. That's what everybody wants. So making sure that we definitely put time in and practice. Don't just go out and shoot your bow come deer season. That's not a deal. You want to practice all summer. Like, it takes like 10-20 minutes a day. Just shoot your bow 10-20 minutes a day and practicing your saddle. I'm not going to go on a rampage about that, but just practice shooting from a saddle. The third thing I learned from a saddle is all the stuff that I needed to get from my saddle. I don't know if this is really a tip, but one thing that really helped me is getting one of these ropemans. This was super key, because I could just hang that right there on my, I believe, my tethered, and it would lock it in place. Because you get, let me grab it. When you get your saddle, you get these already, these locks. They're not that good. I'm not gonna lie, they're not that good. So putting one of these on is so much better, so way more efficient. And so when you tie that thing up and you wanted to lock it, this will lock it in place. Where I noticed where that rope that comes with it doesn't really lock it that well, but this will. And so basically you just tie this up, it will lock it. If you want to release it, it comes with this pin. You pull that pin, it releases it. So getting one of these ropemans was super important. So understanding the stuff that makes saddle hunting a lot better is the accessories that come with it. And a lot of the stuff I don't have, because like I said, it's in a tree. But I know a lot of people wrap their sticks, their stands in stealth strips to be more quiet. That is super important as well. And then I got a bow hanger that goes all the way around the tree and then has a hook into it. I will leave pictures in the video so you understand what I'm saying. And it has a bow hook on it. So that was super efficient, because I can hold my bow on one side and then keep my bag on the other side. And so it's just an accessory thing that goes around the tree. You lock it in, it's perfect. So I can hang my bag there. I can hang, like if I have a bino harness, you can hang that on there. If you have rattling sticks, come rut, you can hang that on there. Super efficient. And so understanding the accessories to make saddle hunting way more easier. That is number 3. That's the third thing I learned, is how to be more efficient when saddle hunting. So the fourth thing I learned, and this might not apply to everybody, but how to self-film from a saddle. That is like the fourth thing I learned, and that is something I'm still practicing, and that will be kind of on the agenda this summer to practice the most is how to self-film from a saddle. And I kind of struggled with it last year. That's why I wasn't able to get any of my kills on camera, because like I said, I bought this thing, I went out, I did the thing, woo, but I wasn't able to practice. So understanding where I need to set my camera arm up, how to film the deer and how to shoot while filming, like those are the things that I need to practice this summer. So I've kind of got a system down. I know that Painted Arrow, they make really good stuff, but the camera arm that I'm looking at getting is going to be through Elevation. They have a really good camera arm, really lightweight, and that's the main thing with saddle hunting, is trying to be as light and mobile as possible. So my fifth tip, what I've learned is how efficient saddle hunting really is. I've watched people saddle hunt for years. I know Chris B does it, Seek One does it, everybody does it. It's like the thing that people do, and I thought it was cool. And I've always been like a set stand guy or like a ladder stand. I've always found those to be so comfortable. I'd find a spot, I'd get in, and we'd hunt like 5 different spots because I had 5 different stands. We'd hunt those throughout the year. And that wasn't as efficient. But when I got into saddle hunting, like you can literally do whatever you want. And it's so nice. So like there would be some spots where it's like, oh, this spot is really hot, we have a buck coming through, but I can't hunt it because there's bad wind. But now with the saddle, I can kind of manipulate the wind to my advantage. So now I can set up this way, so now the wind's at my face. So being more mobile and being more efficient with a saddle is super key. And I noticed that like I've kind of ditched a lot of these ladder stands and set stands because I can literally just get in and get out. Like it's so efficient. And so that's the number five thing I've learned, is how efficient this is. And if you're thinking about getting a saddle, definitely do it. Like you're not going to regret it, because you can literally get into a lot of places that a lot of these stands can't get into. And so creeping up into like bedding areas is super easy with a saddle. If you get your stealth strips, you make everything a little bit quieter. Like you can literally get into a buck bedding area or a doe bedding area come the rut, or even like these pinch points that these deer go into. Like, and the amount of trees that you can climb into in a saddle is crazy. Like there might be a good spot, but like, oh, there's not good trees because the trees are too small. But with a saddle, like that is not an issue whatsoever. So that's the fifth thing I learned after running a saddle, is how efficient it is. And if you're looking at getting one, definitely do it. I mean, I was kind of a quick overview of what I learned saddle hunting. I don't know if this helped anyone, but if it did, awesome. I'm glad it did. But we'll be running over all the new gear that we're getting this summer, and we have a lot of stuff planned this summer, so you're not going to want to miss. So subscribe right now so you don't miss anything that's happening over here on the channel. And we got merch down below, so get your Buck Fever merch and have yourself a good summer and be successful this fall of 2026. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it.